Welp, here we are on YouTube. Ryan,
Yeah, Nathan.
how are you?
Doing good, Nathan. Doing good. This is an album review, part 1 that we're doing, Midnight Oil. This is from one of our faithful patrons and on our channel. He's supported our channel for many, many moons. We hope he continues to support us. If he doesn't, he is dead to us. That is Steven. Steven, thank you so much for being a great supporter of our channel. He wants us to listen to the album 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. By Midnight Oil. This is their 4th studio album, Nathan, but it came out in 82, 40 years ago.
Wait, so this is number 4?
This is their 4th album in 82.
So
they're much older band than I anticipated. I would have said, I would say, their first album was 89.
Okay, I saw these guys in 93 when the year I graduated. That
right.
Dates me right there. When I watched them, I was kind of like, oh, this is like a newish band. They're already 10 years old.
Yeah, they already had a decade behind them. And in 93, they would have had a good handful of albums behind them as well.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so Midnight Oil, the only song I know from them off the top of my head, of course, is that classic, Beds Are Burning.
Beds Are Burning. That's the only song I can recall.
How's it go again?
Time has come.
Yeah.
There's fair.
Pay our rent. Share rent. Timeshare rent. Yeah.
That's all I know.
So Midnight Oil, I think the beds probably wouldn't have burnt had they turned off the Midnight Oil. Anyways, all right.
Boy. I've had this kind of maybe it's a bee in my bonnet with Midnight Oil for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Talk about your experience here, by all means.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody will hear this anyway because they're just skipping ahead to when we
yeah, nobody cares about anything we have to say. But yeah,
I know. But whatever. So I was at this concert. In the middle of the set, I don't know anyone's names, just the main singer.
Right.
He kind of goes, he starts yelling at the crowd, and he's telling... I'm not going to play one more song on if you stop throwing things at the stage, or whatever. That was the worst attempt at an Australian accent, but that was more like...
You sounded like a cop.
I know. More like
it sounded like an angry 1830s police officer on the beat, with his little nightstick twirling around.
Anyway, that's what it felt like they were saying when he was speaking.
Right.
The crowd started to boo. It just did not go well. And we were waiting for Tragically Hip to come on stage, and these guys were frontlining them, and they were berating the crowd. So it didn't go over well. The crowd did calm down, and then they played another song or whatever. But I remember leaving after, not leaving, but just going in, I don't know.
So that's Peter Garrett. He's the lead singer of Midnight Oil. You know who he looks like? You know who he looks like?
Mr. Clean? Mr.
Well,
Clean.
he has a bald head, yes. He actually uses his Midnight Oil to Oh, man. You know who he looks like, though?
No.
You're going to have to Google this. Google, or on YouTube, Motley Crue smoking in the boys' room. He looks like the principal from that video. You'll see the character, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy. Anyways, okay, all joking aside, I'm actually very curious. 2 things. This is their 4th studio album. They've released 10 to 15 different studio albums in total. I'm just curious to see what they sounded like before they were big in our ears with that single. And it was a big single. It really was a big single. And it's a good song, too, by the way. That Beds Are Burning, it's actually a great song. But it's the only thing I know by them off the top of my head. Here we go. The album, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Track 1.
Outside World.
Check it out.
Here it goes.
Outside World. Here we go.
used to a hand that ruled. They all want
Get down a little bit.
you out. I can see the outside world. Everything's inviting in the outside world. Leaving all my problems in the outside world. Nothing's gonna touch me in the outside world. It's the summer of another year. A little world weary, a little more to fear. Hold those cards tight to your chest. Maybe someday you could be a man, living quietly in a caravan. Not the Lismore Road tonight. I can see the outside world. Everything's inviting in the outside world. Leaving all my problems in the outside world. Nothing's gonna touch me in the outside world.
Backwards snares. The snare
Good catch.
played backwards. Not just there, so those are good.
All right.
Okay.
So I got a feeling this is like a concept-ish type album, meaning with a song like that for your opener, that indicates to me that we've got stuff to say and we're going to get there, if that makes sense. Like, this isn't a song, it's because it's an not odd song, that's not the right word, but it feels conceptual to me. We're introducing themes, we're introducing sounds, and I'd be curious to hear how the sounds are even different with this album than the previous three. It sounds like really big drums, the 80s, Phil Collins, perfected and invented that boom, 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 boom sound. That was a Phil Collins actually did that. Well, my understanding is he's the one that kind of mainstreamed that sound with that drum sound. That big, I love how it sounds. They got the keyboards going. A lot of keyboards in this. The doom, 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 that's a keyboard, I believe. The keyboardist is the guy that wrote this song, so that's interesting that obviously you have a lot of keyboards going on here. As a song, it's I would say it's a nothing song, but it's almost like prog-ish type. I don't know how that's not right. Yeah,
that was like waiting for my chance to say that, but yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. Curious how this plays into the album. Meaning, like, I do like the sounds they're introducing. Like, I love that 80s sound. Like, that was our, that was our youth, right, and our childhood. So the 80s sound is a very familiar sound to me. So
yeah, all the above. The prog sound came pretty solidly. Like, made me think. Now that we've been introduced enough to prog and know what's prog and what's not, this seems to fall more into prog now. like it makes me almost wonder about the previous albums. If this was number 4, was 1, 2, and 3 more like 70s kind of prog sounding, and this was kind of the first. Let's diversify and try some of the newer instruments and play around with it. Like
I was thinking that too. It's almost like, hey, we got some new sounds, new instrument. Like it's almost they're introducing this. I think their new sounds. I'm going to wager a guess
no.
that this was kind of a move forward to the new sound for the band.
Sometimes, like, we try to appeal to the fans of a certain band. So this question isn't for the fans. I'm not asking the fans to answer this question. I'm hoping that someone out there with more of an objective perspective on this can kind of answer this question. A fan is going to jump on and go, they're the best band in the whole world, right? And
Yeah,
I don't really want to hear that. I want to know from an objective perspective, from somebody who knows the band but is not like just like gonna gush about them. It was Midnight Oil kind of followed trends, and I can say this about a band that I like that I'm not going to gush about, but I'm going to like tell you absolutely. U2 is a good example. U2, one that was sort of following the trends, but often sets the trends for the time. They're often the ones that they're highlighted as like, oh yeah, they changed their sound and then sounds changed afterwards. Is Midnight Oil a trend setter or trend follower? That's what I want to know. And I want again, I don't want to know from the fans. The fans are going to say, no, they are the best band in the world.
Right. Yeah, good questions. All right. Okay. Track number 2 is called Only the Strong. Only the Strong.
Sounds like
and this song is written
song for a rugby match
by the drummer and the guitarist.
When I'm locked in my room, I just wanna scream, and I know I believe. One more day you've eaten and sleeping.
tremolo check.
Speak to me. I'm not spoken for. I'm ready to talk. Look at me. Look at me. I've been broken up and shaken down. Speak to me. Speak to me.
Okay. That song came out of nowhere in a very, very good way. Based on that, I'll just be honest here, based on that first intro, I was, here we go, another prog song. Or a prog band that we're just going to have to like kind of find a way to like. And this song here ignited a lot of old sounds for me. I'm sure you're thinking it too, In Excess.
Of course, yeah.
Other sounds though too. So I've already answered my own question about, are these guys following the trends or are they setting the trends? This feels like 82 or 83.
82. This is 40 years ago.
Okay, these guys are setting the trends then, because In Excess had started exploring their sound by this point, but they...
Yeah, this is early In Excess. They had a... I'll get to mine because I'm a huge In Excess fan, so I can
know a lot
compare
more. So you'll be able to fill in this gap for me. I'm just saying, like, I've already answered that question for myself by hearing that, because that sound, I don't know if it really existed to that extent by 82. It almost feels like Midnight Oil made it and then other people ripped it off. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a bit of everything in that. I'm sure there's a combination of maybe other bands are doing it simultaneously. You know how there's something in the ethos that just other bands who don't even know what they're doing, like they both just seem to do it at the same time or close to it. Especially back then when there was no internet or live streaming, or you could do something in Australia that people in Japan wouldn't have any idea it's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a huge In Excess fan, and of course it goes without saying there's going to be some influences for both bands. That's what I mean. So both bands came from the same part of the world, and I would assume they probably had their own influences that are very similar, and they were both rock bands in their own right. But the difference here in this is Midnight Oil's fourth album, so they've already had a couple more under the belt compared to In Excess at this time. What In Excess did later in their career, and certainly not earlier, is the guitar work. And this is something Midnight Oil is doing right now that In Excess did not do at this time. Even though they had guitars, their guitars were always very light, very clean, and not really heavy-ish. Mm-hmm. So I would say Midnight Oil, at least with this album, with this song, and which I really liked, they're rocking it out. At the end of the day, there's some real crunchy rock guitar going on. The guitaring is really... So it's supposed to get the same bass line of an In Excess type sound, but with the rock and guitar. Mm-hmm. The vocal work of Peter, I mean... Look, at the end of the day, nobody beats Michael Hutchence. In his prime, man, so In Excess was almost the Michael Hutchence band, and I hate to say it like that because I love them, but Michael Hutchinson, he was the face of the band, and rightfully so. He was an incredible live performer, live singer, incredible singer. Yeah. But so Peter is a different kind of voice, and his voice fits this type of rock pounding type, in your face, more of a aggressive type sound, at least with what we heard that. So I'm not really saying it came out of nowhere, because with that first song, I was right. It's a concept they're trying to introduce, or a theme they're introducing. And I was saying to myself, they better come out with the second song, better be a bit of a, okay, we're going to rock it up a bit, or else you're going to lose your audience. They did it. So they did the right thing. So let's see if that continues, Nathan, with the third song on this album. It's called Short Memory.
Short Memory.
There we go. Oh, wow. Okay.
Conquistador of Mexico, the Zulu and the Navajo, the Belgians in the Congo, short memory. Plantation in Virginia, the Raj in British India, the deadline in South Africa, short memory. The story of El Salvador, the silence of Hiroshima, destruction of Cambodia, short memory. Short memory must have a short memory. Short memory must have a short memory. The sight of hotels by the Nile, the designated Hilton style, with running water specially bought, short memory. A smallish man, Afghanistan, a watchdog in a nervous land. They're only there to lend a hand, short memory. The friendly five, a dusty smile, wake up in sweat at dead of night, and in the tense new rises, hey, short memory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's an incredible song. I really, really like that song. This is The Danger again. I've said this before with other albums. You remember, think, oh, they're going to beat this song? 'Cause this is a really highlight song. This is a really strong song. I love the backing vocals. I love that driving beat throughout. It's just pounding when it gets to that chorus. And I love how it's short, memory of must have. I love how it must have, and there's that big pause. Mm-hmm. And then they go back into it again. I like that. Yeah, Marie must have.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. When you're singing in a way that you wouldn't speak, I don't know if that makes sense. You're having a pause where you wouldn't pause like that when you're speaking, but they sing that way. I like that. And then Peter, this is where his vocals, like I said before, I compared it to Michael Hutchins, right? That's different. That's what I like about Peter singing here is that punk kind of yells. He's doing that yelling singing. I would never have thought of Midnight Oil having this kind of almost like a punk yell. Yeah. So I wonder if their first few albums were more punk, and this is again this introduction of the new sound that has come in.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're trying to transition in between. Hey, we were more punky before, but now we've got a little bit of cleaner beats and what have you, and a little bit of 80s sound and stuff. The sign of the times of the 80s, but still keeping to their punk roots because that's definitely a punk song there.
Yeah. What I was struck with was that very almost metal bass line. The ding 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 dong ding 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 dong. The way that was moving felt like that was like the intro to almost like a Metallica song, and
it did have a sound. It felt like I heard that before. I don't know where that lick.
And so once they like juxtapose that with the piano, I was like, oh, this is expert. This is like they've taken this very dark theme, and then that piano was so clear and light. It was just such a cool like trade-off. Okay, I knew this about Midnight Oil. They're a very political band.
Sure, of course.
They're not afraid to wade into politics, and I like that about bands that have integrity, that they don't, we're just trying to like find the middle ground and make everyone happy and make lots of money. I'm sure they've gotten some people's feathers ruffled over the years.
Sure.
Here they're wading into some of that here, and I like that. I've had arguments with people over certain bands about how they're like, well, if they just stay down to the political stage, it's like,
great.
Well, you just want them to sing about happy things and like, yeah.
I love it how if you're an artist, this goes for every artist, is you're not allowed to have a feeling on a political matter, but you, the schlub in your armchair, can.
Schlubs now going,
I'm a schlub.
I have the right to schlub.
I don't understand that. Just because they're popular, they shouldn't have a voice. Yes, their voice is influential, whoever they are, from the Kardashians to the Trumps. People have a voice, and it sucks you're not popular. I get it. But they have every right to say what they want, too. If you don't like what someone says, then just don't listen to it. But just because they're popular, by all means, they're allowed to say something, whatever that might be. Guess what? You can turn the channel or turn off the song. That's it. That's how you show your support or not support. But anyways, I hear you, though. They shouldn't say anything. Keep it. Well, why do you get to say stuff? Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. All right, so the next one, Nathan, is their third single of this album, but it's the fourth song on the track. Their fourth song on the album. But yeah, their third single from the album. Yeah, whatever. I just read about it.
More cowbell.
Cowbell.
I'm not sure if it's a 12-string guitar, but it's something. Like, it's not just acoustic.
The rich get richer, the poor get the picture. The bombs never hit you when you're down so low. Some convolution, some evolution. There must be some solution, but I just don't know.
Right.
The bosses want decisions, the workers need
said go dance to this song. Okay, is it my turn?
Hey, what's up?
Why did so many people listen to Midnight Oil when I was a teenager? Because I remember I was kind of one of those ones that's like, it's not my style. All I had to go on was that song. And it was
How can you sleep when the bed is burning?
I had no other context other than that. Well, I don't know if this for sure. I'm just like going off of like a vague memory. Okay. But I'm positive some people probably said to me, you got to listen to Midnight Oil. And I was like...
I doubt anyone did. No, honestly, Nathan, I don't think anyone did. You could be right, but I got a feeling nobody did. And I totally agree with you because... when you go back, if you actually were to go back and take the ego out of ourselves, me in particular, not you, because you're just such a non-egotistical guy. But when I was a teenager, I was pretty stupid about my music sometimes. And this is normal. You're a teenage boy, right?
I just followed whatever you said. So
and I'm sorry. Well, blame it on me then.
I'm not blaming
it. Yeah. Blame it on the rain. What I'm getting at is, like, listen to that song. Okay, go back to Beds Are Burning, because that is their biggest hit. I get it. But I'm surprised that if I look at it objectively, it's a pretty killer song, and I'm surprised it didn't tickle my fancy. Like, if they do this kind of rockin' song, why don't I listen to other? Like, I don't know why it didn't. I can't speak to it. Don't forget, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have streaming music. So back then, we had to buy physical copies. And so I think when it came down to making a purchase of something was a bit of a risk. Like you and I were like, didn't come from rich families. We had to spend no, seriously, think about it.
Like, I just imagine us like going through the Columbia House catalog,
right?
Going like Midnight Oil. I don't know who they are.
Why would we spend we wouldn't take that risk? So we stayed within our comfort zone because we're spending money, and so it took money to go out and say, I'm going to listen to this album, so it better be good. Because how did we sample it? In fact, the side note here: when CDs first came out, music stores they used to have the CDs sampled. You could have a sampling center. You remember that? And yeah. So that's how old we are. So we thought that was amazing. I can listen to the music before I purchase it. It was unheard of. There was a time listening to an album before you purchase it was unheard of. You had to purchase it to listen to it. So I think that plays into why we didn't. It wasn't that we were like, I can't stand these guys. I would never. I think it was just like, it's a good song, but I don't know if I want to spend $16 on a tape cassette.
Yeah.
Especially something that came out in '82, because back when 1991, it would have been that's 9 years ago. How good could it be? It's an old song. We don't listen to old songs. We listen to new music. Anyways, so I think that all plays into the why we did it. So now that we're old and a little bit wiser, I hear that song. I'm like, that's just a fun. I mean, when I was doing the clap, I'm being silly, but I'm also kind of being like, it's fun. It's it's a great guitar work, great driving beat. I love the chorus. I love their play with the acoustic guitars. Coming in a couple songs now, they've thrown some acoustic guitar work. It's a fun album so far, and I'm actually tempted. If you want, can we just do the whole album? I'm actually not bored at all. Let's just do part 1 and 2 together. Let's just do the whole album. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this next one I'm gonna guess it's a little more instrumental than it is singing because it's 6 minutes and there's only 2 verses.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I was actually gonna go. I was gonna make a guess too, but I heard the first couple chords. But I'll still say what my guess would have been.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be like a quote unquote slow song because now they've had all these bangers. This is the end of side one. I thought maybe they'd end with a slower song before they go to side two. But okay,
We'll
sounds
see.
like maybe that. Yeah, all right.
Maybe still
Yeah, maybe.
more solos though.
Interesting.
Experimenting with the.
Wow. Yep.
Right in the middle of the 90s. Here's some of that sounding
Ooh. Wow. Oh, what in the world? Oh. You still there? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the slow part I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Come
Yeah, I guessed right.
to me now. Be
Interesting.
careful of what you say. Don't make a sound. There's noise enough in this. Come with me now. Let night move into day. Let
Stand-up bass.
sheets keep secrets no one else could know. I could kill for this one time and not become. She said to me, this is the one and I.
Kind of reminded me of a David Bowie type sound. I don't know.
guys are exploring everything.
Yeah. Okay. Had you played the song for me and didn't tell me the artist, let's say, I would have never guessed Midnight Oil in 1,000 years.
No. No.
That's a compliment. I love the experimental beginning. You know, that it was like a crazy rock, weird electronic, distorted jam, and then it went into this kind of jazzy, slow song, which I called it, but I was like wrong at first. But like they went to the slow part, which is knowing how albums are pieced together. It's like they're gonna kind of close the side A with a bit of a slow song. It was a great guitar solo at the end there, and I think they were using a stand-up bass. I think the bass was a stand-up bass sound.
I called that too. Yeah.
I'm digging this album. Like I said, let's just keep going. We're gonna do this in part 1 and part 2. We do that sometimes because obviously we're bored, but it's a lot to take in. But some albums are a lot to take in, and it's kind of like you need to process. But I'm actually legitimately enjoying the album. I just want to kind of keep listening to see what they have to offer.
Yeah. We have explored a number of bands, and we've come to a conclusion about Australian rock that we really dig.
Yeah.
We really like it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Here's an observation I want to make about this. This is because this actually kind of puts the nail in the coffin for me. Think about the biggies. So we got INXS, AC/DC, and now King Gizzard.
Yeah.
It feels like what Australia seems to be doing is observing from afar what's going on, hearing what people are doing, and going like, we can do that better.
Sure, yeah.
Like, taking sounds that they're hearing and going like, but this is how it sounds from our perspective. And it seems like they're doing that time and time again, getting the best of those sounds. And I'm sure Midnight Oil listened to some prog. They had to have. That last song felt very proggy, but it takes some of the prog that we've listened to where we're kind of like, you're just listening through this 18-minute solo where everyone, and then they're going like, well, let's see what we can do. That I don't want to throw any bands under the bus here, but I could keep listening to that. You know what I mean? That's the kind of prog I would rather listen to, where it's got like purpose, and it's not just like, come on, it's art. You're just supposed to know what it means. And I'm like, I don't want to have to think about it.
A lot of bands that come from Australia that you and I have done, actually. Just a quick search here. We've done some samples, but Little River Band, Nick Cave, my favorite Australian band, the Beatles. So I mean, it's good, yeah. So all right. So now we're gonna flip this cassette over. This is now side B. Before you hit play, Nathan, I want to tell you what the name of the song is. It is called U.S. Forces. This was a single. This is the first single they released on this album. It's called U.S. Forces. Okay. Great acoustic sound. Huh.
U.S. forces give the nod. It's a setback for your country. Bombs and trenches all in rows. Bombs and threats still ask for more.
Interesting for a first single. I found that interesting as a first single in some ways. What I got from this is definitely a punk song. They just slowed it down just a little bit. They slowed it down just a little bit out of the acoustic guitar. But you replace that acoustic guitar with electric guitar, speed it up just a beat, and you got a full-on punk song.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, good observation. So the question now I have, and this is for fans and observers, objective observers of the band, how popular was Midnight Oil in the 80s? When this album, if people are still, obviously there's still people around that heard this album when it came out, what was the popularity of these guys when it came out? Did this explode, or was it kind of just Australia? How did it spread? I'm very curious to know, because when popularity hits a band, it always has an effect on the band, whether that's for good or for not so good. I'm just curious to know what they were like, as a band, because I would have heard this and I would have thought, this is unlike anything else that's being played on the radio right now. It would have felt different.
I would suspect, if I was to guess, they were probably pretty popular in Australia, and then a couple of these singles got them popular stateside or North American side, because that's what happened in Excess. They were fairly popular in Australia, and they had a couple early hits with some stuff before the Kick album, and then of course Kick comes out, and yeah. Okay, so the next song, Nathan's called "Power and the Passion." This one was the second single from the album and the second song from side 2.
Okay. Police sound.
Wasting away in paradise, going backwards once in a while, taking your time, give it a try. What do you believe? What do you believe? What do you believe is true? And nothing they say makes a difference this way. Nothing they say will do. You take all the trouble that you can afford. At least you won't have time to be born. At least you won't have time to be born. Oh, the power and the passion. Oh, the temper of the time. Oh, the power and the passion. Sometimes you got to take the hardest line.
Not
Sunburn
conventional chords.
faces around,
No.
skin so brown, smiling, zinc cream and crowd. Some days the beach, never a cloud. Breathing eucalyptus, pushing pan land, stuffing lunch, junk food, laughing at the truth. 'Cause golf was tough till they hit the rough. Hey, Uncle Sam and John were quite enough. Too much of sunshine, too much of sky, just enough to make you wanna cry. It's just enough to make you wanna cry. Oh, the power and the passion. Oh, the temper of the time. Oh, the power and the passion. Sometimes you got to take the hardest line.
Tell me you're from the 1980s without telling me you're from the 1980s.
I wanted to say, in an earlier song, the drumming was actually quite good. So
Yeah, they brought it back. It's great drum work.
yeah, it is.
It's great drum work.
Sydney, nights are warm, daytime telly, blue rinse dawn. Dad's so bad he lives in the pub. It's underarms and football clubs. A flat champagne gap in every home, a Big Mac, and no one goes out back. That's that. You take what you
I like that
get,
line.
you get what you please. Better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. It's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. Oh, the power and the passion. Oh, the temper of the time. Oh, the power and the passion. Sometimes you got to take the hardest line.
Orange State.
All right.
That was
That's
strong song. Sorry.
very strong song. No, I was gonna say I love the horns too. We haven't heard a horn section yet from these guys, have we? Or-
No, we haven't. I just wanted to highlight the lines here. They're so good. That middle, the icy buildings clothing the sky in paradise. Sydney, nights are warm. Daytime telly. Blue rinse dawn. Dad's so bad he lives in the pub. It's an underarms and football clubs. Flat chat, Pine Gap, in every home a Big Mac, and no one goes out back. That's that. They're trying to like be truth tellers to what's happening to society, especially in the 80s. Like the 70s was not the commercialization so much. When the 80s hit, it hit hard, and it was very much this inundation of advertisements and television and moving people away from going outside anymore. There's so many like great stories of people who explored in the 70s. Who I've talked to a lot of people who go, backpacking, whatever. The 70s was a big time of people who went outside. There's a lot of that happening in the 70s. But it kind of like falls off the map in the 80s in Australia as well. So I thought that was really cool.
It's a great song. I love the horn section. Kind of hoping we get more. I don't think we will on this album, but I love that horn section at the end there. And this song, it's a victim of its own time. There's parts in the sound very 80s. That's why I said, tell me your song from the 80s without telling me your song from the 80s. And, and I love the drum work by the drummer. He's a great drummer, very powerful drummer, but it just has that kind of that little bit of a, in every band at this time, they played with that sound. It was a big sound at the time. I suspect when they play the song live, you wouldn't hear it like this. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It'd sound modern.
Sounds,
yeah. All right. Next one. Maralinga, I think it's called.
The ashes fly, the poison crown, the charcoal ground, And if you can't see the smile in me, that's where I wanna be. There's only God. There's only Christ. Think I'll lie down for just a while. And if you can't see the smile in me, well, that's where I wanna be. And the grass became greener and the sky a black sheet. And our bed was a graveyard and we couldn't feel our blistered feet. And the moaning and groaning and sighing of death, and the silence that followed, and the very harsh wind. So we watch and check them out and listen as we learn. Throw the pearls before the swine, ebb and flow and turn and tide. Yeah, we watch and catch them up, no matter how they jump. The pigs will have to come to ground. We gotta make it happen. Well, it's not really that new, yeah. Try and make it happen now. What are we to do? Yeah, maybe there's a chance for you. All around, an eerie sound.
Those are 80s drums.
Their dreams
Yeah.
are clouds. Their world in shroud. Cause in the wind, those ashes fly. Not much time, but time to try. And if you can't see the smile in me, that's 'cause I wanna be. I wanna be here at the end. Yes, I want to be here at the end. Well, we have to be here at the end. Yeah, we must be here at the end. Well, I wanna be here at the end. I've got to be here at the end. And I wanna be here
Go. I knew they were going to have to do a quote unquote slow song. I hate that term because it's not a ballad, but it's a slowed down tempo. Really strong song, great message. It was never boring. Now, I'm not a big fan of slow down songs per se. Like I always just like my songs to come fast. I'm just that way. Even with bands like, name any of the bands that I love. I find slow songs in general. I never listen to them because I want to go jogging. I want to go driving. I just like the driving beat type stuff. But
Right.
what they did was great there. It's not the strongest song on the album, but
Yeah.
what they did there was great. And I think again, this one's marred a little bit by, this song is 40 years old. 40 years.
Yeah.
And think about when this song came out, what was 40 years before this was 1942. Is that weird? That's the same amount of time between. Yeah. So think about how different. But what I'm getting at. Songs in 1942, none of them have aged well in the sense of like they don't. People in 82 were going, that 1940s ditty from, I mean, they're the classic in their own right, but the idea but a good band like this song and this sound or this album you can listen to it 40 years later, and though you hear, some of the sounds of the time, of course, there's a lot of it's like it doesn't age, and that's a sign of a good album or a good song when it's like, well, the lyrics still have meaning, the context still has meaning.
I think this song did age well, and mostly because of that, because of the drum, the electronic drums. There's been some strong writing in some of the other songs where I'm like, those are very cleverly written lyrics. Some of these lyrics felt a little forced. So it's just not the best song on the album, like you said. And we are on the B side. Let's be clear.
It's clear. It's normal. Yeah. I got a prediction. This is a typical B-side song. Yeah. 2/3 of the way through the B side.
Bury it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bury. But I got a feeling. Okay, I got a feeling that the next song will be a little bit more quick. Whatever beats per minute will be higher.
Sure. Yeah.
And then they're going to close with a banger.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. So this next one's called 10 Legs and 10 Minds. Ooh, okay. Ooh. That sounds like... Oh. Maybe not. Maybe okay. Oh, nice piano work there.
To come, I'm gonna wait till we all stop from running. Boxed in like candles, polar bear pride. Turn into terror as the script is read out. Unwilling actors, accomplished protractors will shout. I'm gonna wait till I reach for the sky.
Another stand-up bass here, yeah.
Legs and 10 minds, anyone's cry. Cry in the hope that there'll be tomorrow. Waiting around, there must be a time to stop thinking and working it out. Come with me now, try with me now when I'm back.
Called it. It's another prog-like song.
I'm gonna wait till they dig up the floorboards. Poland in Disneyland, wet dream control. Supercomputer, the new contraband. I'm gonna wait, then I must make a stand. Stand with me now, come with me now one more time.
here's something I wanted to say about the song because I think it's worth saying. I suspect that, like, I suspect that generation behind us, that a lot of this kind of music is lost on that generation because they would incorrectly conclude that somebody just pumped all this stuff into like a beat generator or a music maker and just put it on a loop and then they just sang along with it or something like that. Like, obviously they wouldn't be that naive and they'd know that they're playing some instruments, but I would guess that a lot of them would feel that that's what happened. And what I'm really recognizing here is that these guys made all of these sounds for the most part. Right. Some of them synthesized, but not lots of them. A lot of the sound of that one, it wasn't like my favorite song, but it was really wonky, cool sounding. Most of it was made up, mixed, obviously, but not pumped onto a computer and then somebody like, punched out a formula and here's your song.
I'm gonna blow your mind on this one. That's my favorite song on that side.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Probably top 3. I love that song. That reminds me of some early Genesis with a deeper, or more of a punch. It's like a punched up Genesis song from the 70s. So you take Genesis and you kind of punch it up with deeper bass and more just a thicker sound. It's like a thicker Genesis. I love the chorus. Get the words now because I don't have it in front of me. Who's in charge of the world today, or something like that. So when it does it, da, 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 and then it goes so high, you got that flute or that wind instrument. That's right. Is it the instrument that I'm listening to, or the guy singing very high? I love how there was that mixture. I love the chorus. I love how they mixed the instrument with the singing, and you're not too sure who's carrying who on the note there. So I really love that one. That's a good one. The piano work was amazing. That was a great song. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's all my Genesis listening has helped me appreciate that type of sound. All right, so this is the last song on the album. This one's called "Somebody's Trying to Tell Me Something." Yeah, you guys should stop doing YouTube videos. All right, it's probably true. It's probably true.
Yeah.
All right. Great baseline, yeah.
letting me down.
There was a moment there where it sounded like he was talking into a phone. Now became hugely popular in songs in the mid to late 90s and even into the early 2000s.
The megaphone effect,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. And the fact that it showed up here in 82 in this song just seems very like, I want to know who was the first person to pick it up and go like, let's talk. You know what I mean? Like, and throw that into a song. I want to know who the first person is. Second thing was, okay, I know Queen had already been around for a little while, so there's a little bit of Queen influence on that song. It sounded anyway, but they had that sound of like the Police. You got to ask the question: did these guys come before the Police, or were the Police around for a little while? At this point?
Well, they're both around the same time. I think the Police did start in the. I mean, 82. Oh, boy, now anybody can Wikipedia crap, but I know 82 was I think that was around the time they were big hit synchronicity. Whatever that was.
Oh yeah. So
that was about then. So give or take in that area, but definitely again that same type of sound is in the ethos, right? So bands were playing that sound, so it's not like one is copying the other, but at the very least you get
So I mean, it said two things in my mind. We got to explore this band some more because it's great. I would say 8 of the 10 songs I would listen to again easily. I also want to explore the Police a little bit more because that's a band that I haven't done a lot of exploration on.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. It's like ringing a lot of bells here for me. So
yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, great album. Thank you so much, Steven. That was a great closer. I called it too, that they're going to close with a banger. Didn't I call that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I called it. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thanks everyone that joined us on this journey of our Midnight Oil, their 4th studio album, 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. It was a great album. A lot of themes of the album still hold up today, 40 years later. Great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's the kind of album anyone could listen to today and get stuff out of it.
Thank you so much. If you like what we do on our channel, support us on Patreon or join our Discord. We'd love to see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to see it recorded live, you can always see it in Discord. And if you don't want to see it live, but you want to watch all of our mistakes, including the Weird Al song in the middle there, you can see this on Patreon and get there all of our jokes and everything like that.
All right. Thanks. See you next time.